Well now, come here, kiddo. Sit down right here by the fire, because I've got a story for you, a big one. A story about the greatest empire the world had ever seen until it wasn't. Yeah, I'm talking about Rome. Now don't roll your eyes at me. This ain't gonna be some dusty history lecture like you get in school. No, sir. This is the kind of story old grandpas in America are born to tell. Full of heroes, villains, lucky breaks, bad decisions, and enough drama to make those movies you like. Yeah, those ones with swords and sandals. Feel like Saturday morning cartoons. So, settle in. This is the tale of how Rome rose, how Rome ruled, and how Rome, despite all its power, tumbled right off the throne it built for itself. Remember to like and subscribe. 1. In the beginning, before the eagles and the glory. Now, to really appreciate Rome's greatness, you gotta imagine the world before it. Not skyscrapers, not airplanes, not TikToks. Just tribes, family groups, farmers scratching out a life on dusty hills, and on one little patch of land, 7 hills actually, there lived a scrappy bunch of folks who had no idea they were about to change the world. Legend, and you know how grandpas love legends, says Rome was founded by twin brothers, Romulus and Remus, raised by a she-wolf. Now, do I think a wolf actually breastfed 2 human babies? Heh, I've seen stranger things at Walmart after midnight, so who knows? Anyway, the brothers grew up, got into a fight. Hey, brothers will be brothers. And Romulus ended up killing Remus. Sad way to start a civilization, but hey, that's ancient myth for you. So Romulus gave the city his name, Rome. And Rome, in its early days, wasn't mighty. They weren't conquerors yet. They were more like the neighborhood kids always ready for a scuffle. Tough because life made 'em that way. But sometimes being tough is enough to start something big. 2. How Rome built itself. Discipline, luck, and a whole lot of guts. Now, kiddo, I want you to hear this part real clear. Rome didn't become powerful overnight. They didn't just wake up one day with marble palaces and armies marching in perfect squares. Nope. They worked for it. Hard. 1. The Roman army. The machine that never quit. Rome figured out something real early. If you wanted to survive, you needed an army that could punch harder than anyone else. Those Roman soldiers legionaries were basically the Marines of the ancient world. Disciplined, tough, walked for miles with armor, a shield, and enough gear to open a Home Depot. And they were organized. Oh boy, were they organized. No running in wild crowds, no screaming, just calm, steady formations moving like one big steel animal. You ever see the movie Troy? Those perfect shield walls, the clashing bronze armor, the heavy thud of marching feet. Rome didn't invent that style, but they perfected it. And once Rome got good at war, they stayed good for centuries. 2. Roads, the arteries of an empire. Romans built roads like your grandma builds quilts. Everywhere fast and built to last. Straight roads, solid roads, roads so good that some are still around today. These roads carried armies and merchants and gossip and news and eventually the very things that would weaken Rome too. But I'm getting ahead of myself. 3. Law and citizenship, the secret sauce. Rome pulled a clever trick on the people they conquered. Instead of just bossing folks around, they said, "Hey, you fight for us, you follow our laws, and someday we'll make you one of us." That idea, citizenship, made people buy into Rome's success, made 'em loyal. And a loyal empire, that's a powerful empire. 4. Smart stealing. Now, don't gasp. Every great civilization steals a little. Romans borrowed ideas from the Greeks' art, gods, philosophy, architecture. Then they Romanized it, tougher, bigger, grander, like taking a home recipe and making a fast food chain out of it. 3. The big break, the Punic Wars. Now the story really gets spicy. Rome had grown strong, real strong. But across the sea, in North Africa, there was another powerhouse, Carthage. Rich, sophisticated, a fierce navy, and led by one of the greatest generals who ever lived, Hannibal. Now, if you've never heard of Hannibal, kid, you're in for a treat. This guy took war elephants, actual elephants, and marched them across the Alps to attack Rome from the north. Imagine a giant gray bulldozer with tusks and a bad temper. Now imagine 50 of 'em. That's what Hannibal brought, and for a while he beat Rome like a drum. 3 huge battles. Rome got whooped every time, but Rome didn't quit. That was their thing. They could take a punch like nobody else. Eventually, Rome found its own genius general, Scipio Africanus, and beat Hannibal at the Battle of Zama. And when Rome won, Carthage was done. Rome became the heavyweight champ of the Mediterranean. 4. The Roman Republic falls. Enter the emperors. Winning big wars does something nasty to a nation, makes them cocky, makes the rich folks richer, and the poor folks, well, they get the short end of the stick, as usual. Rome started tearing itself apart from the inside. Corruption, bribery, ambitious generals looking at Rome and thinking, I could run this place better. And at the center of all that, a man whose name you definitely know, Julius Caesar. Now, Caesar wasn't emperor, but he might as well have been. He was charming, smart, a brilliant general. The guy conquered Gaul, basically modern France, and became the biggest celebrity Rome ever saw. But Rome didn't like one-man rule. The Republic hated dictators. So what happened? Right there in the Senate, March 15th, the Ides of March. A bunch of senators murdered him, stabbed him to death. In the movies, it's dramatic. In real life, it was chaos. And after Caesar died, Rome tore itself apart even more. Eventually, Caesar's adopted son Octavian won the final showdown, and Octavian became Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. The Republic was dead. The empire had begun. V. The Pax Romana, the Golden Age. Ah, yes. Here comes the calm before the storm. Under Augustus and the emperors that followed, Rome hit its prime. Peace across the empire, trade booming, cities gleaming with marble, colosseums filled with roaring crowds. Think of the grandeur in shows like Rome or Spartacus or the opening scenes of Gladiator. That's the vibe. People traveled from as far as Britain to Egypt on Roman roads. Merchants sailed under Roman protection. Philosophers argued in forums. Artists sculpted masterpieces. For almost 200 years, Rome was the center of the world. But golden ages never last forever. They crack slowly, quietly, until the breaks can't be fixed anymore. 6. The slow crumble. Problems. No empire could ignore. Now, kid, this part right here. This is where the old grandpa voice gets serious, because Rome didn't fall in a day, didn't fall in a year, didn't even fall in a decade. It fell over centuries. One, too big to handle. Rome grew huge, too huge. From Scotland to the Sahara, from Portugal to Iraq. You can't manage a beast like that forever, not without trouble. Two weak emperors. After the good ones came, well, a lot of stinkers, cowards, tyrants, kids put on the throne who didn't know a sword from a soup spoon. When the top's rotten, the bottom doesn't stand long. 3. Money troubles. Rome spent more than it earned. Wars cost money, roads cost money. Feeding the poor cost money. So they printed more coins. Inflation sky high. People started losing faith in the economy. Sound familiar? Let's move on. 4. Outsiders at the gates. To the north lived tribes Rome called barbarians. Now that word ain't fair. Many were smart, brave, skilled fighters, but they wanted land, and Rome had lots of it. Over time, these tribes pushed harder and harder. Goths, Franks, Vandals, Huns, especially the Huns under Attila, who was basically the boogeyman of Europe. Rome struggled to keep 'em out. 5 civil wars. Again. You'd think Rome learned after Julius Caesar, but nope. Generals fought each other non-stop. Armies turned on Rome instead of defending it, like a boxer punching himself in the face. 7. The final collapse. When the eagle fell. The Western Roman Empire eventually became a shell of its former self, broke, divided, tired. In the year 476 A.D., something symbolic happened. A Germanic chieftain named Odoacer kicked out the last Roman emperor. A kid ironically named Romulus. From Romulus the founder to Romulus the last emperor. Poetic, don't you think? The Western Empire was gone. The Eastern Empire, you might know it as the Byzantine Empire held on for another 1,000 years, but the Rome of glory, the Rome of legions and conquest, that Rome was finished. 8. But listen, kid, Rome never really died. Buildings crumble, empires fall. But ideas stick around. Rome left behind laws, languages, architecture, road building, engineering, concepts of citizenship and rights. Even the calendar you use, that's Roman. Even your alphabet, Roman. and every great power since Rome, France, Britain, America, has looked at Rome like a mirror, wondering how not to make the same mistakes. So when you hear this story, don't think of Rome as dead. Rome's in every courthouse, every capitol building, every book of law. And maybe, just maybe, in the lessons we teach our kids. 9. One last thought. From your old grandpa. Kiddo, empires rise and empires fall. Some burn out fast. Some last centuries. Rome lasted over 1,000 years. Longer than almost anything humans ever built. And its fall? Well, that's a reminder to stay humble, to stay united, to take care of what you have, because nothing, not even the mightiest empire, is too big to fail. But the good stuff, the culture, the ideas, the stories, that's the part that lasts forever. And that's why I'm telling you this tale today. Now go on and remember, old Grandpa's always got another story when you're ready.